Welcome to another episode of After Five. Hold on, we're gonna edit that. Let me get started. Welcome to another episode of Lifestyle After Five. You know, where we have grown folks conversation. My mantra is business is done after five, not 9 to 5. Doing 9 to 5, you always taking care of business or doing other activities that you're slaving for someone else. But after five is your time. It's your time to take in knowledge and hear these adult conversations. So as always, I got my co-host MD Red here with me. What's going on, MD Red?
What up? What up?
Introduce our guest for the night.
Oh man, we got a special guest tonight. Special to me, special to a lot of people, man. We got TJ Dunn in the house, my brother from another mother. I've been knowing this cat for a while, man. For a while. So I'm very excited about this interview.
Well, welcome, TJ. I'm excited to learn too. We were talking, before we started recording, and you got quite the resume. You into a lot of things.
I'm into a lot of things. Absolutely. It's funny. I laugh at that because every time someone asks me, what do I do? I'm like, I cook, I meet people, I work out. I mean, I know normally it's like, what do you do for your occupation? But man, I do so much and it kind of boils into my occupation. That's the way I can keep it fun. As far as if we're talking occupation, I have a home care franchise, Synergy Home Care of Cape Fear. We provide in-home care to the elderly, disabled, and those who just need some extra assistance around the house. I also have a coaching practice, TJ Dunn Advancement Coaching, where I help people go to that next level in their life, whether it's in their career, in their relationships, just coach them, motivate them, help them aspire to find that better version of themselves. Because I believe that when we stop advancing in life, that's when life gets really uncomfortable. But as we fight through that uncomfortability into an advance to that next level, joy, opportunity, hope, all that comes back to life. And I also dabble in real estate.
Man, that's a handful. Shout out to this man with all these careers he got going on.
Hey, big class, man. That's what's up,
It's a
bro.
different time. It's not the generation mom and pop grew up in.
Nah, bro.
Definitely not.
I'm proud of you, bro. First of all,
Well,
I'm
man, thank you, bro. I receive that, MD.
for sure, bro. But before we get too deep into it, Ali, let me give y'all a little backstory on TJ, man. So
Okay.
I met TJ, man. He might have been a junior in high school. First black dude I ever seen play soccer. No cap, I'm not gonna lie. Dude's always been super athletic, man. His brother is actually my best friend, was my best man at my wedding. TJ was actually my first sneaker plug. I don't know if you remember that. No waiting in line in foot action because TJ had us. You know what I'm saying? So that was definitely a plus meeting him, man. But he's always been a kind-hearted, free-spirited dude, man. And I love him, man. That's my brother, man. And that's I ain't gonna get too deep into it. I might cry, but that's my
Dang, what a memory about being your first
Not
sneaker
them
plug. I forgot
tears.
that, man. Had y'all lined up for had y'all cutting lines for the 11s, man. That
hey
was awesome.
man, bro. That was love, bro. I miss them days. For real.
Tell me, how did y'all
Fuck,
meet?
dude, I love that.
Tell me where you're from, TJ.
So originally Warner Robins, Georgia.
Okay.
After I graduated from Kennesaw State in the Atlanta area, outside of Atlanta, Kennesaw, and
I
then
went to
after
Kennesaw.
that,
Shout out to
what's
Kennesaw
that?
State. I went to Kennesaw State. I didn't
Oh,
graduate from there, but I went for a semester. So shout out to Kennesaw State.
yeah, man, those owls, they're growing up, man. They're getting
Yeah.
bigger. In 2009, after I graduated, my wife and I, we moved here to Wilmington, North Carolina. 2009, the economy went bad. She's a nuclear engineer. Actually, me and her been together since the 10th
Wow.
grade. It's been a beautiful thing. Shad knows her as well.
Bro. This one
Um,
lady, I think she graduated high school to what, 15, 16?
yeah, man. Yeah, she
Something
graduated
like
early. She
that.
had her master's in nuclear
Wow.
engineering at 22, man.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Super
she's a
smart,
smart
bro.
one. So
Super.
2009 economy went bad. She had a job lined up with GE Nuclear out here in Wilmington, and so that's where we've been for the majority of the time. We took a little hiatus 2015 to 2017. We moved to England, but I told my wife I love her. God laid it on my heart. Hey, there's a great opportunity of loving your wife to sacrifice. So I did it, but I told her we'd only going to England for 2 years, and we're coming right back to Wilmington, and we moved back here in 2017 and been here ever since.
Yeah, bro.
Wow. I got to drop a bomb for that.
Drop a
I
ball,
don't know if
man.
my bombs work. Did y'all hear my bombs? My bombs going off. Shout out
I,
nuclear engineer.
Oh yeah, she's a smart one.
He definitely is, bro.
Wow. But you're pretty bright too. I mean, you got home healthcare franchise. That's impressive. And if that wasn't enough, you do coaching. And then if that wasn't enough, you do speaking as well. And what's the other thing that you're doing?
Real estate. I got my
And
real
real
estate
estate.
license
And a real
earlier
estate.
this year. So dabbling
Congratulations.
into investment. Thank you very much, man. It's been this whole year has been a really cool journey. Actually, this about a year ago now, I got into personal development, got into just different discipline habits that just grew and grew and grew. Start to make myself uncomfortable. Have you guys ever heard of 75 Hard?
Not.
So I started with that early January of last year. You do it for 75 days. You can't eat. You have to, I'm sorry, you got to eat a certain diet. You can't drink. You have to read 10 pages a day. You have to do 2 workouts a day, and one of them has to be outside. So it was very disciplined. And through that habit, I picked up the love for reading, which I've been opposed to it. Shot knew me as growing up, man. I was that kid that was diagnosed with a learning disability. And like we do in life, we accept the labels that they put on us. But at 38 this year, I got into personal development in these different discipline habits, start reading books, start reaping the benefits, start challenging myself. So I'll go to that dark place of, all right, I'm going to lock myself out from the world for a couple of months to get my real estate license, studied my butt off in the dark, passed that test on my first try, and just bam, changes broke off me. And it's been pretty cool ever since, just running hard after my goals and dreams and discipline myself, and got new habits, new standards, and it's been a really cool year.
Now I'm curious to know how you got up to that point. Now, I want to back up. What did you get your degree in Kennesaw? What did you study at Kennesaw State University?
Business.
Business. Okay, great. So let's back up. So you've gotten your degree from Kennesaw State University. Now what? How did we take off and go from that point to where you are now?
It's going to be a long journey. I went through a lot,
bro.
But we can sum it up. We got time, but yeah, we can sum it up because it's the journey is what matters.
Oh, absolutely. And especially if you pay attention to the journey, because God's leading into something, you got to reflect back and it'll show you how to connect the dots. So I'll start with in college. In college, I worked for a clothing store called Buckle. And I pretty much always worked retail starting up in high school. And, that's why I was a shoe plug, and then moved up to another clothing store. And what was special about working at Buckle was working off commission. I never knew what commission was. I never knew what sales was at the time. So as I'm in college, you're getting the vocabulary for the things about sales and stuff like that in business. But I had a retail job that actually was driven off sales based. So I learned to actually become a salesperson. And so that was very vital to me going through college and realizing that, hey, talking can actually help make you some money. But like I said, going back to after college, graduated, we all moved to Wilmington. I couldn't take that job with me because I was at the level to be a manager and have my own store, but the store here in Wilmington already had a manager, and I just didn't really want to backtrack nor commute an hour and a half elsewhere. So I just worked a couple of little retail jobs until I found something different. And actually, when I thought I was going to keep going up in sales and get into insurance, I ended up getting offered a job at a church. And that changed a lot for me. It wasn't as far as my faith, but it was more so being able to be around the older generation was such a blessing. In our culture, we don't really respect that as much as older cultures anymore. And I think the older generation feels obsolete because they can't work iPhone when I don't really need them to do that. I need to hear their war stories. I need to hear how they grew up. I need to hear how they look at things through their lenses because they've been through more stuff. And one of the biggest examples was just hearing older people talk about marriage. And so working at the church gave me a good opportunity to be around older people where you don't really get that a lot today in culture, but always being able to do lunch together on a regular basis. It was a really cool thing. It was probably the most powerful jobs that I've ever had. And it was a great start to build a solid foundation with honoring my wife and taking leadership. And as you're working at the church, the funny thing about it is, as a business-minded person, you're like, man, I don't really know how I get out of this and transition to something else. Well, the funny thing at that time, Facebook and being able to do tag people and use different ways to market, they weren't really branding that. But if you could know how to crack the code, like just meet people, tag them on Facebook, it would get you awareness. Well, I learned a lot about how to manipulate, not in a bad way, but hack Facebook to your own advantage. It wasn't illegal, but I learned how to run that at a church. I learned how to lead people at a church. And I always tell people, man, if you can lead volunteers, they're not professionals, they don't get paid, you can do almost anything. And that's what I had to do, was just lead volunteers. They weren't professionals. I couldn't hold a paycheck over their head. You know, I had to keep expectations low, but get the job done. What's that?
So you probably had to keep them motivated then.
Yeah, you got to motivate. Definitely.
But these are the things where you're working at the church. I'm just like, man, I don't know how to transition out of this. Well, what was interesting, my next journey in a career was I've always had this love for fashion. You know, with having an older brother, shot in them, you know, you grow up seeing other people look cool. So I kind of jumped over the people in my age group because I want to look like my brother and them. And so I've always had an eye for style. And that was one of the reasons I actually left Atlanta kicking and screaming, because I missed the fashion scene. I missed the culture, the diversity, all that type of stuff. And just in my own world, I was like, man, okay, if I don't have, what if I create it? You know, what if I become this style coach? So I labeled myself as I created a personal shopping, and I labeled myself as a style consultant. So instead of being like a personal trainer, I help people out with their look, and I would create catalogs, lookbooks to help them go on a journey to define what their look is. And because I learned how to work and manipulate Facebook, I knew how to do it in this new career of being a personal shopper. But what went really big was I was doing that job I'd started the business. I was probably like 3 or 4 months in. I'm like, man, there's so many people in Wilmington that feel the way I feel. They like fashion, but they don't know how to get into it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create a fashion week. That way everyone can come in, whether you want to be a model, a designer, do hair and makeup, whatever it is. I'm going to create this opportunity for people in Wilmington to be part of the fashion scene. Since we don't have it, I'm going to create it. So in 2013, I created the first Wilmington Fashion Week. And going back to, I knew how to work with volunteers. I had over 100 models. Nobody got paid. We got hair and makeup. We got photographers. And it wasn't me using them. It was just trying to work as a team, because I didn't make it about me. I made it about the community. I wanted to create something that was a launching pad for somebody in Wilmington to go to that next step in their journey of fashion. Whether you did it in Wilmington Fashion Week, and maybe that helped you go to Charleston, you end up at Charleston, and you end up in New York. And it was such a beautiful thing, man. It was very well done. I never put on a fashion show before I did that. We put on 4 fashion shows in 3 days the first year. The second year we did 4 fashion shows again in 3 days, but we had an open and closing party. And still to this day, I reap the rewards. Actually, just today, I ran into the guy who did all my film work, who, when I told him what I want to do, he was like, "You're full of shit." I'm like, "No, this is what we're going to do." And then when we got to the show, he was like, "Dude, I knew you said you were going to do this, but I never believed you." But a cool thing about it is I haven't seen this guy in like 6 years. He actually married the girl who did the website. So that I get so much fruit from that event, because there's people that are friends. My personal assistant from the second year, she actually works for Chanel in New York. Like, I didn't go in it to make a name for myself. I didn't go in it to make money. I went into it to bring the community together, to help them get their dreams out. And still to this day, we did 13 and 14. I still see those people, and it's a beautiful thing. Oh,
that is awesome. Now, were you just dressing the pastor and the deacons in the church?
No, so let me correct that. I left the church and created that job. So I was dressing any and everybody. I would stage photography shoots. I would help out clothing stores, but mainly working one-on-one with clients. I would have a whole assessment that I would go through, like, hey, what are your goals? Or like sometimes they want, and I offer other services like redesigning your wardrobe so it's more efficient and effective for you. Maybe you have trouble getting dressed in the morning to go to work. I'd help them organize their closet so they can be very quick in and out. Maybe you're packing for a trip. I would help you organize your suitcase, get a look, understand where you're going, what you're doing. and help set you up for success. So you look the part, you feel comfortable, and your clothing's also functional. You know, like I'll work with ladies who are like, all right, I'm going to this wedding and I want to look the best and I love the dance. And I'm like, are you going to be inside, outside? Like outside. I know you like that stiletto, but you might want a wedge because you're going to sink right into the ground with the stiletto. So being very tactical with the wardrobe that they wear, you know, it was a really fun thing. I loved it.
Dang, bro, I'm about 10 years behind. I wish you was doing that still so we could throw our stuff in that fashion week, bro. But it's all
Man, I don't. I don't know. You evolve, man. I'm getting to that place. I used to always be that cat that looked back, but man, I keep looking forward. But I know that helped bless me into the next thing and the next thing. And then, you know, I stopped there because I moved to England. And when I was in England, I took a job in an international payroll company doing B2B sales. And they asked me, you know, you sell fashion, how can you sell computer payroll software? I'm like, I get to dress up well while I do it. So no matter what, I'm always in fashion. And that was a unique journey within itself to be in England for 2 years. Tell people I left liking America, came back loving it. There was a lot of appreciation, not trying to get political, but man, you know, it's just like dating a woman and marrying a woman. When you visit a country, you're dating it. When you live there, you try to buy a car, you try to get a job, you try to use their health services.
married.
We think a little bit different. You try to buy some property, you can't because the queen owns it. So you come back a little bit more appreciative.
I always remember that line by Ice Cube. For all those that say they so black, put them overseas, they be begging to come back. And as a person that has lived in overseas, I know what he mean in that line. Yeah, you pro all this until you outside of the country.
Absolutely. And then that's funny. You run into other black people from other countries and you tell them where they're from. Oh my God, you're so lucky, brother. I wish I could join you. Like it's just the media that, you know, there's a lot there, a lot of deception. So the enemy does well.
Now, MD Red, you said you wish he was still doing his fashion week, or you wish you had known him beforehand. But sound to me like you need to create your own fashion week and pick up the torch and just pick up where he left off. That's what I'm hearing.
Innovate, bro. That's a call out right there.
It is. I don't know about a fashion week, maybe a fashion show.
Fashion week, month, year, whatever. Yeah.
You know,
whatever's on your heart.
Fashion show.
If you decide to go on that journey, I will be a consultant to help you on that journey. But before you go on it, I'll ask you some probing questions, because when you take on a project like that, your why has to really make sense to you. Like it really, because especially with a fashion show with a lot of people, you want to make sure that the end results meet your why, because there's a lot of money goes in a lot of different places to pull that thing off. And if at the end of the day you can be like, that's why I still reap the fruits of it, because my why was people and community. My why wasn't recognized being the #1 fashion guy. I knew that was going to assist me in me being a personal shopper, but my why still lives on. You know, if your why is to make money with a fashion show, that's one of the worst places. I mean, you better off buying a boat in salt water because you're burning money. But if you want to be recognized, you want to, you know, just depending, you know, I'll be here for you, bro, if you want to go on that journey.
Yeah, man, we do a fashion show. It would be definitely just to bring more insight to the brand, to my creative thoughts. You know, not for money. I mean, the money will come. But
I love it. You two just define the show. You two just define what this show is all about. It's about having these conversations. And look what can be birthed out of this conversation. You know, you didn't even realize that you should be having a fashion show. And now you got some assistance when you do plan this fashion show. So this is what it's all about. And that's why you have to get out of the house. You know, they say introverts can be professionals and leaders. I still struggle with that theory. I still don't understand how, but you got to get out amongst people and share your dreams, and you got to have the conversations.
Yeah, definitely.
I believe you can. You just have to learn how to leverage it. You know, if you aren't going to be the face, you have to find someone who operates as a cheerleader, as a face.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Somebody got to do it for you, but somebody got to be out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be able to orchestrate it all. And some people can come out of that for a certain amount of time. They can be an extrovert, but then they got to go back in. And that's like how me and my wife were so different. Like I come to life around people. Once I get out, I
Yeah.
mean, that's like a drug or an alcohol. I just want to stay out, stay out, stay out. Once she goes out, she's like, that time's running down. It's getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. And she hang out Friday night, she ain't going out Saturday night. If I'm hanging out Friday night, I'm waking up at 6 a.m. to work out, and I'm ready to run the whole day Saturday and do it all over again. So it's kind of, I know where your strengths and weaknesses are. And this is, I mean, I love the concept of your show. I think it's brilliant. I think it's how I operate it. I operate my life, but I haven't pinpointed it as an after five. But one of the books I've read recently is Nine Figure Mindset by Andrew Dawson. And one of the taglines at the end he says is collaboration is the new currency. And to me, that's so freaking special.
Okay.
And that to me is exactly what your after five is talking about. Because you ain't talking about getting off work and being by yourself. You know?
Nah.
But maybe something that is self-thought, but realistically, I think it's more of a vision of like how we're vibing out right now. You know, whether you're meeting up for
Definitely.
a cocktail or meeting up at the gym or whatever the case, as long as there's communication there, it's that's the new currency. Is that, man, there's strength in numbers. We can go much further. Even if I have to give a little bit, I gain a lot more than I had prior to.
Exactly. This after five gonna be the new golf course, man.
Get it.
With a virtual golf course, I like it. It. So now, go ahead.
Oh, actually, it's funny that he said that, because when you were explaining to me, I thought of golf. That's the reason why people play golf. I don't play golf. It's not fast-paced enough for me, but it's that you're locked in communication. You get a good reason to get off work or get away from the family, you know, but really you just connecting for a long amount of time, and it's good. It's business.
Oh, it's business.
Oh. So now you have taken off. You created a fashion week in Wilmington, brought them the first fashion week, launched all these careers. You went international. You didn't went to, was it London?
I was in England.
England, and now you're back. So now, let's start from there. You're back in the U.S. now. You're a legend in the fashion scene. You're a local legend in the fashion scene, and now you're back in the United States.
And once again, so that's what connects the dots. Well, one of the things is you got to always know your environment, no matter what you're doing. And I knew that I loved Wilmington, but one of the bad parts about Wilmington is there are not a lot of career opportunities. Thus, that's why I created my own job as a personal shopper. And so I knew I was going to move back here. And with that, I know that there's not a huge industry, but I wanted to do something where if it didn't work out, I can go somewhere else without having to leave Wilmington, a place that I love. So I had the mindset, get into banking or get into insurance. And I ended up applying for insurance jobs, and I got hired. It's because, you know, if it doesn't work here, I can go someplace else, because insurance is everywhere. And the funny thing about it is I love how we're connecting the dots, because I've never told a story like this of all of it out loud. Is I'm working with my first employer when I got back in insurance, and I was asking him something, and he was like, well, what did you do at your last job? And I was like, you know what I did at my last job? You took my resume. And he goes, I didn't look at your resume. I knew that everyone knew you in this town because of fashion. So I figured he'd be easy to sell for other people. And so it's funny how those dots are connected.
You never know.
Yeah, and I ended up insurance, but also too, once again, I was wise. Thankfully, I didn't really like the place that I was working at the time. It just was not my environment. And so I pivoted to another insurance company. And realistically too, this comes back from currency. When I said collaboration is a new currency, is I asked one of my friends he's a strong lender in the state of North Carolina. He might be one of the top lenders actually in the country, home lenders. Well, in insurance or in sales in general, I look at it as you can buy the milk or you can buy the cow. And what I mean by the cow is the cow's always supplying milk. So because he was a lender, he's always working with people that are buying homes. So I would network with him and get the clients that were buying houses and quote their insurance. Because they're buying something new, they have to have insurance, and they're willing to shop anything to save a dime because they're about to make a pretty big purchase. Where I walk up to you, be like, yo, MD, yo, Ali, can I shop your insurance? You're like, man, I got so much going on, I'm not worried about it until the bill shows up. So it's easier to go. Yeah, absolutely. And so when I decided I wanted to do something, look someplace else, I asked my buddy, I was like, hey, dude, I know you send me some business, but you don't send me all, and I want to know why. And I was like, because I'm not really loving where I'm at. And he was like, love your job and make a lot of money doing it. And I was like, I don't even care if I love my job. I just want to make my money. He goes, no, fuck that. Love your job. And I'm like, who am I going to tell this guy? He's like the #1 lender in the United States. He's my best buddy. He can't be lying to me. And so he's like, so since you want to go somewhere else, talk to this guy, because this is where I send all my insurance that I don't send to you because your rates suck. And I was like, okay.
Oh,
And
wow.
so a couple months later, I end up working with this guy. And man, that's my ex-boss. He's now my mentor. He's that guy that after 5, because what I did was I inserted myself in his life. I would ask him, hey, Benny, can we do coffee? He'd say, hey, let's just go paddleboarding. Let's just go out on the boat. And I would just talk life. Sometimes we talk business, sometimes we're talking marriage, but I just inserted myself into his life and we became buddies. And he's the one who got me into personal development. He was like, hey, listen to this guy, Ed Milet. Listen to this guy, Brandon Bouchard. And I went on this journey. And after a year, he's putting me onto this. I ended up looking him in the eye. And I was like, Benny, you are my hero. And to be like my hero, I can no longer work for my hero. So I'm about to go off and do my own thing and build my own business. And we both cried. He high-fived me. And now he's my best friend, no longer my boss. And it's been a cool journey of that. But it was that after 5 mindset. You're spending time with people outside of 5 o'clock. You're asking them questions. You're just learning, soaking it in. You find out that even though this guy's super successful, but you're adding value to his life as well because you're contributing. You're cheering him on. You're high-fiving him. You're not the employee that's just a stick in the mud and just wants a paycheck and get out. You know, he's the guy that likes to have fun, and I like to have fun with him. And it's definitely have had tremendous growth to where I'm at in life and got me is where one of the reasons why I'm self-employed and doing so much, because I saw him do that. He's a guy that owns an insurance company. He owns a couple other companies, and I see him running around having fun and making great money doing it.
Yeah, bro.
It's no purpose in making all the money if you can't enjoy it and have fun with it.
No point.
Absolutely. And I think I'm very fortunate that I got to see it modeled. I got to see it done. Where, as I said earlier, it's not like when our parents grew up. You know, they worked one job and that's all you saw. And if you saw somebody working multiple jobs, it's because one of those jobs wasn't working out really for them or wasn't achieving. But when you see people doing it and doing it with a smile on their face, and you have to also look at technology, they're big tech gurus. They're saying the next billion-dollar companies are going to be ran by 3 people because AI is cutting out a lot of that work. And if you know right now we're in a great time that all you got to do is what you guys are doing. It's there. There's a lot of tools and resources. If you would give it a little bit of energy to a lot, you're going to be killing it. I think a lot of us right now that are on this Zoom in 5 years, because we're putting in the effort, we're challenging ourselves. We're making it uncomfortable. We're connecting with strangers. We're talking and we're doing the work that this generation that wants to be lazy, don't want to do anything anymore. Man, we're going to blow by them.
Like a rocket.
You say that. I've been saying that since 2017. You know, you can't be afraid of technology. You got to embrace it. And even in the corporate, I would tell my employees, it's like, you know, hey, if we were building VCRs, you got to know that you're going to lose your job soon. You got to start looking at somebody that, well, at one point I used to say CDs, but that didn't even last long. That phase actually came and was out before I even knew it. And we were already to jump drives. And now everything is streaming. So you've got to look, like you said, with AI coming, you got to look ahead to see where this technology is taking you, and you've got to embrace it and get on the new wave, because it's going to come forward with or without you. You can hate it or love it, but it's coming.
And that's interesting from your perspective, because to me, CDs weren't fast, but it's probably because you saw other things last shorter and shorter and shorter. But to me, that CDs were a while. And that's why I love getting around in these after 5 sessions, because I want to see it through your eyes and see what you think. So you're more equipped to deal with it than a lot of the new people, a lot of younger people are, because they're just like, oh, it's always going to be like this and whatever and whatnot. I'm like, no, man, change has always been happening.
And if you're not evolving, man, you're losing. And I had a buddy today call, you know, he's trying to start a business, and he was like, man, how to pitch it. And I said, bro, just ask ChatGPT. He was like, what is that?
Oh, wow.
It's like, go find out what ChatGPT is and just tell it what you're trying to do. It's going to answer it for you, bro. It's that easy. He was like, for real? I swear, all you got to do is talk to it. It's going to talk back.
Right now, with the world being smaller, this technology high. I mean, it's cool that we're meeting, right?
Yeah,
Shot. I mean, I haven't seen you. I don't know how long, but like we can do this now. So you start
exactly.
using resources like, man, Mr. Real Estate Guru doesn't live in Warner Robins, Georgia, but that dude's in Florida. I can say, hey, can we hop on a Zoom
Yeah,
and
and do
learn it?
business.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we would have to send each other DVDs and a phone call. Carlton Sheiks, you get
Well,
those late nights, and this would be like DVD session where you have to order like 10 or 12 DVD series, or COD as they call it, cash on delivery.
yeah.
This
But
new
even think
generation, I don't
about
even know
right
what that
now.
is.
Like back in the day, though, it would have been like MD would be like, "Man, you gotta meet my boy Ali next time you come in town. You gotta meet my boy Ali. I mean, I can't
Yeah,
believe you have Ali because I'll be coming in Christmas, Thanksgiving, everyone's busy. But now it's like, boom, man, you can still get someone to tee you up via Zoom and be connecting after 5. I'm gonna keep using that. I like that plug.
appreciate it, brother.
I like
Appreciate
it
it.
too. Hey,
And it's
but
actually like it's organic too, man. It's like you actually having a real conversation right now. It's not like
yeah,
you don't even feel like an
it's
interview.
not scripted. Yeah, it's not scripted. But like you said, I am meeting you for the first time. But at the same time that I'm meeting and I'm learning from you, we're pushing this out to people watching this show, to the
Yeah,
world. That's what's so powerful about it. So it's really no excuse in today's world with this Aquaria era that we're in. I mean,
There's no
it's just
excuse, but there's a
amazing.
lot of them. Funny.
facts. You're right. They gonna them made up excuses though. They're not realistic.
It's like when I ask somebody something as simple as cooking. Well, I don't know how to cook. What do you mean you don't know how to cook? Isn't there Google? Isn't there YouTube? I mean, hell, if you can make your own barbecue sauce if you want to. I'm sure there's a YouTube video if you want to do that. If you don't want to buy the, I don't know, Baby Ray's or I don't know, Heinz or whatever the sauce they got out there, go on YouTube. They'll teach you how to make your own sauce. TikTok,
YouTube teach you to build
Facebook.
out.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I call YouTube University. Like, you don't know
Yeah.
how
Hey,
to
I'm a
use it, you
student.
can figure it out.
I'm,
But
I'm a student.
it's funny because it just make. I don't know if you guys watched that show back in the day, Boy Meets World, and I remember there was an
Yeah.
episode where Mr. Feeney walked out on the class. He's like, "You guys would rather use the computer to beat King Koopa versus actually educate yourselves." And now it's that same thing: is you'd rather use this technology to entertain yourself than educate yourself.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be all like nerdy book stuff, but like how you brought up cooking, man, I am the master on a grill. And I've just started this journey it'll be going on 4 years this year. I became a grill champ because of Instagram. I'm paying attention to things that are actually adding value that I can actually take away and actually use when I put the phone down,
Yeah.
and it's been a
Sound
cool.
like we might need to start a grill championship out here in North Carolina while I'm still out here. I
We
do
can
my
get.
thing on
I'm
that grill
smoking a
too.
turkey tomorrow,
Hey,
and I want that
I
hot sauce, John. I want that hot sauce.
All right, bro. Oh, I got one. Courtney gonna mail it to you, bro. I got you
I'm
one.
gonna, my birthday's coming
no,
up, bro. I want to make some. I want to smoke some wings and dab them in them.
Look, we're gonna try to
you
get
know,
in the mail. We're gonna try to get in the mail before Thanksgiving, for real.
you know,
Word.
when it comes to my ribs, I got this thing. If I can take my ribs, if I can pick them up with tongs and hold them up in the air, and if I can sling them back and forth like that, I throw them over the fence because they ain't ready. When I pick them bad boys up and I hold them up like that, they need to come up. I need to have to hurry them, sit it back down because they need to be falling apart off the bone. Yeah, they need to be, as soon as I pick them up too high, they need to fall apart. They need to come, break in half. If I can hold them up in the air, I just throw them on over the fence for the animals.
I just got to slow cook them a little
Start
bit
it
longer.
over.
All over.
So now you came back to the U.S. You had a great career with your boss. He's now your best friend. He's the mentored you. Now where are we? Now you've set off. You grown now. You ready to go off on your own.
Well, this goes back to the After 5 concept. I got two buddies of mine that we are stinking close. We just hang out almost every morning and every afternoon. And these guys are successful, very successful real estate, very successful lending, still my lending buddy. And I just start watching them work. and see how they act. You know, for me, one of those things, if you called me after 5 or on the weekend, I'd be so mad. And actually they make fun of me now because how I handle business after 5, because I learned that you can, from them, you can live in it and you can play in it at the same time, where you don't have to stay in it for so long, then walk away for so long where you're agitated, someone bothers you, where you just kind of can bob and weave and you can push yourself to grow and do more. And those guys opened up my mind. So when I got into more of the personal development stuff, one of my buddies, me and him, we travel to LA once a month to be part of a small coaching organization for people who just want to strive for more in their life. Some of it's professionally, some of it's relationship, but just being around culture of people that are just striving, where it becomes a lot like what we're doing right now, where it's like, oh, I know a person that can help someone out. And with me hanging out with these guys for the last 2 years, we've been friends for a while, but like 2 years, I think because of COVID happened, we were just hood rats hanging out in the back porch. I got a gym at my house. The other one's got a heated pool. The other one's got ping pong tables. Like, we're always just golf carting to each other's houses. And it came to the point of like, man, we should all do business together. And that's where me and one of the guys, we have our own real estate investment company. We buy property together. I'll go online, find it. That's the one who was like, hey, dude, you're leaving money on the table. You should go get your real estate license. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. I didn't let fear get in the way. I wasn't bringing up excuses of my learning disability, of how trouble school was and how traumatic it is, because I used to make up all those excuses. I even cried trying to get my real estate license. But this one, I was like, you know what? We're just going to do it. We're going to cut the world off. If it's not a one-time event, I won't be there. And
awesome.
Encouraged by that. And then the other guy, just the three of us together, we were like, man, we should just do a business together. Because they both see my work ethic, because we were working. So that was a cool part as well. When I was still in insurance, one guy's a realtor, the other guy's a lender. So we're out on the weekends and we're both guys. We're seeing deals being signed and we're just passing clients in between one another. So that way we already knew we had this harmonization. We had a trust. Our families know each other. I'm like the uncle to one of them's daughters, and my wife group texted them making fun of me. And so we were all tight. And we were just like, hey, let's do a business together. And that's how we stepped into researching the market. Like I said, you got to know your environment. We were like, what looks healthy in Wilmington, North Carolina? We're a big retirement coastal community. A lot of people move here from up north. And what can we do, and what makes sense to us? And we pinballed around from the things we're into, like fitness and what's making money and just a bunch of different things. And we actually landed on the home care franchise, and we decided, let's all equally invest in this. We did it all with no debt, and I would run it day to day and step outside the insurance. And we have a vision of growing it to a $10 million company. We have ideas of processes to put in place to get us there. And that's where we are today, where I run the operations on a regular basis. You have to identify your strengths and weaknesses. Me, I am definitely the people's person. I'm the sales guy. My other guy, he is the legal guy with real estate. He has a lot of legal experience under his wheelhouse. And my guy, who's the number one lender, maybe, like I said, in the whole country, he's our financial guy. So he's a CFO, I'm the president, and then we got our COO. And we're running hard together, growing this business.
Congrats.
Wow. So everybody had their role and they know it. Everybody plays a part. It's not just a bunch of people together guessing. Everybody's an expert in what they do, or at least competent in their field.
Yeah, you can trust one another.
Yeah, like everybody can't be honcho.
No, I look at it like it's the Justice League, man. You got to think, if something's going on underwater, man, send Aquaman. There's no reason for the rest of us to get wet. We don't breathe down there.
A lot of us miss that, though. Everybody wants to try to be the man. You get egos that get in the way. You get jealousy, and people just don't realize that they have a part to play. And everybody can win if you just play your part. Yeah, man. Come together like Voltron, for those that remember Voltron.
Yeah, right.
When I opened the store up in Florida, man, I gave everybody an opportunity to bring what they wanted. And if you got some merch, bring it. I don't want no money off it. I just give you another area to sell your stuff. Nah, man, I want to do my own store, bro.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Okay. That makes no sense, but okay. I'm giving you a free spot in a mall.
Well,
but the thing is, the people who it doesn't make sense, if they don't buy into it, it's not meant to be. It's going to mess up your vision. When I was building Fashion Week, we had this one lady in our town that was the known fashion gal, and she got all upset and butthurt about it because she invented Fashion Week, which no one did. You know, it was just a thing. It's out there. And I called her out. I was just like, hey, would you come and do coffee with me? And she said, yeah, because she was getting all hype and butthurt about it and where it was getting out. You live in a small town, those things happen. And she said, she's like, well, you stole Fashion Week from me. And I said again, I was like, that's no one's idea. I know you had the idea for what I heard after I started doing it, but it's not like I stole it from you. You never actually did it. Like words are nothing. And then, but I said to her, I was like, let me be honest with you. Would you have done this for free? And she's like, no. I was like, that's exactly why you weren't part of it, because no one's getting paid here. Right. All of us are doing it because we love the idea of the project and we love the idea of the community having it. You would have called it Your Name Fashion Week. I just called it Wilmington Fashion Week because it was about Wilmington. And you can't let people be a part of your vision if they're not going in the same direction as you, because those people might get into it and start tainting the rest for everyone else. So I think that the people who weren't signing on being part of your shop, MD, man, they would have just messed you up anyway.
They regretting it now, though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but it's funny you say that.
Right.
Because everybody wants to feel like they're supposed to start something, you're supposed to get paid right away, and you haven't even proven yourself. You know, I don't know, back to the CDs. I remember back in the day when people used to try to sell CDs in the mall. I remember I had this one guy, I think I might have been in Florida. He run up to me, he was trying to sell me his CD, and I'm like, well, how much is your CD? $10. And I'm like, I don't even know you. Jay-Z is selling his CD for $10. I know Jay-Z, but I don't know you. Why would anyone pay you $10? You got to prove yourself to me. He's like, you're right. So I'm like, I'll take a chance and risk $3 to $4 on you. But you can't charge Jay-Z prices. You haven't done the work.
Right.
And people don't understand that. They think, oh, I want to get paid. I gotta get top dollar for this. No, you gotta pay your dues. A lot of the great singers started out singing free in fashion shows, not fashion, talent shows rather, in the park because they loved it. So that's just awesome. So you've explained to me how you've gotten into the healthcare franchise, because I was very curious on how you made the transition from real estate to healthcare. And so I take it. Go ahead.
The insurance to the home care. I mean, it was a
home care. Yeah.
Yeah. It was looking what's in the market, but then also looking what's inside of your heart, what you can do. And what happened on the journey was in 2000, early 2000, right before COVID happened, my mom passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And it's all right. She loved me. She loved me, man. She's cheering me on right now. She always did all the way. Man, I'm just so blessed. But even part of that is part of the story of the home care. It's when she died in hospice. So you had people like MD Red, I had grandmas, cousins, family. We were all in the house. And the house was such a special place. And keep in mind, once again, this was before COVID. It was before everyone hated that. It was a natural hate for hospitals. So I couldn't imagine if it was after COVID. But to be able to, I felt like a kid again, and being back in summer vacation where all your cousins and your friends are all at one house. And this is my mom is dying, but I had that joy. Like neighbors were just being neighbors. Her coworkers were coming in the house. We're laughing in the garage and, just so much stuff. We're not eating out of vending machines. There's not stale linings. We're not looking at another strange family, looking at our family like we're strange. We had the home, which was such a peaceful place. So as I'm researching the ideas of business, I started having connections and flashbacks of that experience that when you're going through a difficult time and your life is changing, you don't know what it's going to be, whatever it is, the consistency of home, there's something special about it. You still get your same bed to lie down in. Your neighbors can be your neighbors. Your friends and family can still come to visit you without feeling like they're going out of your way. And I want to be able to provide that for people in their toughest times. I want, even for my brother who had to take care of my mom, there's a lot of things that happened that I realized that I owe it to my brother that I didn't have to deal with because I live in another state. But if he could have used something like my services to help take care of my mom, then when he got to be with my mom, he could have just been son and she could have been mother versus like, I'm son, part caregiver, having to deal with this, like where that emotion. And that's another place where we want to mind the gap is we want to take that work out so you can continue to enjoy life, where you can be son, you can be daughter, you can be friend, whatever the case may be. Let my coworkers provide the care so you can enjoy your quality of life.
Yo,
That
that's
is
dope.
awesome.
Damn.
You you're definitely a man of passion and action. It's like everything that you've been passionate about, you've actually took action on to make it better. And we need more leaders in the world like that.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate that, man. It's you. I earned my stripes through the process. Like I've had a couple things happen recently where I look back. Fashion Week, man. Fashion Week had me crying, depressed. I wasn't suicidal, but I understood the thoughts, and it broke me in a cool way. But it hurt. Breaking always hurts. But as you go after your dreams and your goals, like the painful things is where you learn. That's why even with England, I hated England, but man, I learned so much through that process. And if you're willing to go to those uncomfortable places and just let life happen, but learn from it and challenge yourself to be uncomfortable, man, you grow. Where when you taking those other bumps and bruises, they're just like, I've been here. I don't care. Let's keep going. We'll figure it out. You know. So it's been an amazing journey to see how God has grown me, matured me, and made me stronger.
This is awesome because I think a lot of people in this generation and even our generation don't want to go through the pain and the bumps and bruises. They sell the ideal of, oh, I had this ideal, and that's when we're doing our radio show. I had spoke a little bit about this because I was saying that if you talk to me about business and you show me a video of vacations and a lot of money and, oh, you can take off whenever you want to and all that, I'm done. I'm walking out. Because when you're going through trying to get your own business and grow something, you can't be on vacation taking these lavish vacations, and you're not going to make money right away. If you are extremely lucky. It is a lot of pain and grit sometimes when you're trying to get something launched and off the ground.
Yeah, man. A lot
And
of
it's work. But they sell this dream that because at one point there was this thing going around I don't know, around 2006 7, somewhere around in that area, where it's like, don't have a backup plan. You just quit. You got a dream, you just leave your job and you just go after your dreams and you don't look back. And I don't think that was very wise. Of course, chase your dreams, but it's a process to getting to a certain point versus just you got responsibilities. And I just think that a fake dream had been sold to a lot of people, making them think that it's cushy because a lot of people don't want to go through the pain and don't want to suffer. But it's reward in the journey. And that's why I asked you to tell me about your journey so people can see that, hey, it's bumps. It's not just a straight, hey, I wanted to do this and I did this and I took off. I didn't look back. And that's why in this show, I always try to get people to explain the power and the pleasure in the journey. Because when you look back, you're so much stronger and you're not the same person that you were before. And that's what people need to understand.
Absolutely.
You gotta learn from your past. So I mean, when you're journey, you definitely gotta take the bumps with the good stuff. So if you don't, then you're just gonna fall right back to that same place, man. You gotta evolve. Like I said, evolution is key. Evolution is key to everything, man. If you the same person you were last week, you in trouble.
Yeah.
And it's the truth. If people would just look at the truth of it, we don't get stronger unless we lift something heavy. The woman is not going to have a baby without birthing pains. Just if you would accept it, where the story should start with, okay, this sucks. It sucked a lot. It sucked very bad. And then I'm a millionaire. Like,
Yeah.
it reminds me
Yeah.
of that commercial. I don't know if you guys remember the commercial back in the day where I loved it. The one where Michael Jordan apologized when he was like, I'm sorry if you didn't see me, twist my ankle. I'm sorry if you
Yeah.
didn't see the amount of time I spent in the gym. I'm sorry if you thought it was all easy.
Yeah.
Like it's that's the thing that we have to tell ourselves. I actually have uncomfortable tattooed on my stomach because it's a way that I want to live, because that's the area of progression. It's like anything else. It's the smallest thing. The first time you cut your grass, you weren't scared of it. But the first time it was probably a little bit wonky. By the fifth time, you got this process that you run fluently, and always try to live in that place of uncomfortability. I started public speaking with Toastmasters maybe like 6-7 months ago. And now I
Toastmaster,
just,
fellow Toastmaster. So yeah, congratulations.
yeah, and now like, man, I go in there expecting to win. That's just my expectation of myself, because I keep putting myself out there where that butterflies, they still kind of happen. I still speak a little bit faster than I want to, but also I'm looking at that clock too, because I don't want to get disqualified, you know.
Oh yeah,
But
got to cut it down.
but you like everything else, until you do it the first couple times is awkward. Then it becomes a habit, and then it becomes a standard. And you're no longer living that place, and then you pick up something else and do it all over again.
The motto is I want to be the dumbest person in the room. And when I work my way up to the front to where I'm getting close to the smartest person in the room, then it's time for me to change rooms and become the dumbest person in another room.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh, my bad.
No, you good. Go ahead. I was just saying information is key too, bro. Information. The more knowledge you get, the better.
I like that, being the dumbest person in the room, but people have to understand that you're gonna have to swallow your pride to do that. That's where I think people don't ever actually live that out to the fullest, is because they're like, yeah, I'm gonna be the dumbest person in the room, but then they're like, oh man, this room kind of sucks because I can't add value. Like, they're not willing to listen. They're not willing to just let their pride just sit in their gut and just let it sit there and let your ears open, live in that place for a little bit, start realizing you can add value. You may not be able to add, financial advice, but you can add man, that's cool. You can add some encouragement. You can add some prayer. You can add, you can just ask, hey man, I know your business is going well, but how's your family? You can add values in other ways, but I think people, they're not willing to actually stay in that room because pride and ego gets to them.
So that's the thing. You're not going to add value in the beginning, but you're going to start to learn something, and you're going to start to get into these conversations. And if you stay in that room long enough, you will be able to add value, and you will become an equal partner, and you'll be on equal footing with these conversations. I mean, when I lived in Japan back in the 90s, we didn't have the internet, and they used to have this and I was in the Air Force. So they used to have this newspaper that comes out. So I remember I was looking through this newspaper one day, and it had an investment club on Sundays. So I was like, oh, I want to check this out. I want to get into investing. I want to learn a little bit about investing. I don't know anything about investing. So I go to this meetup at one of the little rec centers. And I walk in there, and I'm very intimidated. And I think I walked in there, and there was no one of color in there. And so I stepped in there, and when I walked in and I kind of looked around, I'm like, ooh, nobody in color here. I'm not welcome here. I guess I need to back out of here. So I started to turn back around and go. And they was like, oh. What are you looking at? And I'm like, I'm looking for the investment club. And they're like, this is it. Come on in. Have a seat. So I'm sitting there and I'm all nervous. And, I can tell I'm kind of nervous and everything. But I tell you, that was the best thing that I could have ever done, because that was before, the Cash App and the way we can invest now, fractional investing, because then I didn't realize at that point, you could buy, they used to call it buying stocks on a dividend reinvestment plan. And it was like a whole book back in the 90s that I never even knew existed. So this one lady, she gave me this book, and it was showing where you could take $50 a month and buy fractions of Coca-Cola and some of these Exxon and some of these, Fortune 500 companies that I didn't even realize you could. I always figured, saying if you didn't have big money to buy a whole share, then you couldn't get into investing. And stuff like that, and having those conversations and being in that meeting around them, that helped me. And like I said, after a while of going in, I started reading the Entrepreneur magazine. It really opened my eyes. And I began to start to know what I was talking about when I started talking about dividends and investments and the difference between mutual funds and different stuff. So, after a while, I got to the point where I could add value to the conversation. And then at one point, I ended up telling one of my fellow airmen about it. They started joining. Then we actually took a stock marketing class together that they was holding on base. So you never know what things going to evolve into. So, and what's going to be beneficial in the future. But had I never taken that risk, or I just ran out of there, or just said, well, I don't know none of these people so smart, and I'm not smart enough, and when, who knows, what you would lose out on.
I'm glad
And
you
there's
took
so
a
much
chance.
opportunity. Huh?
I said I'm glad you took a chance on it.
Definitely.
Yeah, because you've been spreading that information that you learned in there through us for the last 10 years.
Well, the thing about that too, that whole add value piece, we have to have that mindset going in there that, think of ways that you can that are not what you're actually there for. Because you think about it, if you're going to be the dumbest person in the room or you have no experience in finances, what are you going to tell these people about finances? But hey, you could show up with some cupcakes, you know, you
Right.
could you could see them struggling in some other area, or like, hey, guys, I know that you guys set up this event. Can I help volunteer to set up? There's always other ways where that's where it goes back to, before you can put money in, we see you put some effort in. You had some skin. We had a relationship where with my friend who's the real estate guy, it was me just asking him questions. And I was saying, hey man, you ever think we could buy some property together? Like, even my ex-boss, I was like, hey, you ever like to buy a business together? And we're looking at a business. Me and the buddy now, we have property together. And it's you have that time, you show commitment, you show integrity. And when it comes to ask that question or opportunities, they already know, man, this guy's been consistent. He's been a
Exactly.
good person in my life. No, he's not the smartest cookie, but I take him because he's a trustworthy individual
Yeah. And he's
over
working
the
at
smartest
some
person who
point.
might try to screw me over.
But some people just love to teach and give back, and it's to them it's value, and it does their heart good just to see somebody that they are responsible for, when they can have the story to say, "Hey, I knew that fellow when he didn't know nothing. I remember the first day that this fellow walked in here, he couldn't spell stock market, and now look at him now, and I'm a part of that. I
Yeah.
implanted that into his or her life." So you'd be surprised at the people that just out there. I think what it was Matt Emmett Smith once said he reached out to Michael Jordan for some investment advice. And Michael Jordan said, "Yeah, come on over." And Michael Jordan talked to him and gave him advice. So he said he asked Michael Jordan, "Why don't you do this with everybody and help other athletes?" And Michael Jordan said, "Because they never asked like you did. They never took the initiative, picked the phone up, and asked me." And that's what you have to remember. You don't
And
have.
that's why
Well, go ahead.
I use that term when I was talking about my ex-boss, who's now my good friend, is I inserted myself in his life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean that in a like I forced myself in. I mean it because most people were just passively working with him, calling him boss, where I just said, hey, can we do coffee after 5? Like, it was one of those things that trying to be a part of someone's life. And realistically, this is one of those things that people don't realize is when you're asking questions and that person is able to help answer your questions, that person receives value because they have actually found another place of purpose in their life. And with me, with the coaching stuff, where I love when I'm able to give wisdom to someone that helps them out, and they're telling me thank you. But at the same time, I have to tell them thank you because I didn't know the answer to that question, because I didn't even know that question exists until you presented it to me. So together we harmoniously created wisdom that we both can share with other people.
So as we get ready to wind down, tell the people, how can they reach you? Somebody that wants to coach, have a question for you or anything. Is there email or website or anything where you can be reached at?
Well, yeah, you can send me a email at tjdunn84@gmail.com. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I am TJ Dunn. I am in the process actually of doing my whole digital marketing campaign and doing the websites and all that whatnot for the coaching practice. So I don't want to give any of that stuff out just yet. I want it to be all nice, clean, and professional by the time everyone gets there. But for now, you can go to those sources because I will keep you updated on when that new relaunch is on its way.
That is awesome. I have really enjoyed this hour of speaking with you after 5. I feel smarter just having this conversation.
Yeah, man.
This
TJ,
has definitely been enough.
I know the radio show get ready to start. Bro, I am such awe right now, bro. I'm so proud of the man you've become, bro. Articulate, well spoken. You miles away from the little kid running up and down the street with the fireworks, shooting them in the sky, bro. I love you, brother.
I'll still do it
I
now.
know your mom's just smiling, bro. Bro, this is a pleasure, man. Appreciate you.
Dude. MD, Ali, thank you. It was a blessing to share. Reach out if I ever could be of value to you guys. I'm more than willing.
Definitely, bro. We got to get you on one of these panels.
Yeah, you're always welcome with the After 5 crew.
Definitely.
Thank you. Love your mantra. Keep it going.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. You all know how to reach us. After 5 Lifestyle on YouTube, www.aliafter5.com or lifestyleafter5.com. Y'all be safe out there. Check us out on our live every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then check us out on WDJY 99.1 in Atlanta from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. immediately following our live stream.
Sure.
Till next time, check us out. Be safe. Follow us on our socials.
Yep.